What's interesting about compound interest is how often people hear the term, but maybe don't quite grasp the mechanics behind its power over time.
Absolutely. It's one of those fundamental concepts in finance, isn't it? The core idea is actually pretty straightforward. It's earning interest not just on your initial money, but also on the interest that's already accumulated. Basically, interest on interest.
Right, and that's the key difference compared to simple interest, which only ever calculates interest based on the original amount you put in.
Precisely. Simple interest is linear, same amount each period. Compound interest, though, it's exponential.
I always think the snowball analogy works quite well here. Imagine rolling a small snowball down a hill. It picks up more snow, it gets bigger. And because it's bigger, it picks up even more snow on the next roll, getting bigger faster.
That's a brilliant way to put it. The interest earned becomes part of the principal for the next calculation period. So the amount that's earning interest keeps growing.
And the speed of that growth depends on a few things, doesn't it?
It does. There are sort of four main levers. You've got the initial principal, how much you start with. Then the interest rate, obviously higher is faster. The length of time the money is invested or saved, that's a huge one. And finally, something often overlooked, the compounding frequency. How often the interest is calculated and added.
Yeah, like is it compounded annually or maybe half yearly, quarterly, even daily?
Exactly. And generally, the more frequent the compounding, the slightly faster the growth, because that interest starts earning its own interest sooner.
Maybe a quick example would help illustrate that.
Good idea. Let's say you start with $10,000, and the interest rate is 5% per year. Now, with simple interest, it's easy. 5% of $10,000, that's $500. You earn $500 every single year.
Okay, so after, say, 20 years, that's $10,000 in interest plus your original $10,000. So $20,000 total, straightforward.
Right. But now let's look at compound interest, assuming it compounds annually just to keep it simple. Year one, you earn $500. Same as simple interest. Your balance is $10,500. But in year two, you earn 5% on the new balance, the $10,500. That's $525.
Ah, so slightly more already.
Exactly. And year three, you're earning 5% on $11,025, which is about $551.25. You see how the amount of interest earned each year is actually increasing?
It's accelerating.
Precisely. Now, fast forward those same 20 years with annual compounding at 5%. That initial $10,000 doesn't grow to $20,000. It grows to over $26,500.
Wow, so that's what, an extra $6,500 just from the interest earning interest?
Yes, just by leaving the interest in the pot to compound. And the longer you leave it, the more dramatic that difference becomes.
It really highlights why starting early with saving or investing is so often emphasized. Time is a massive factor here.
It's arguably the most powerful factor. But it's important to remember, compounding isn't always your friend.
Ah, you mean when it comes to debt?
Exactly. Think about credit cards, for instance. They often use compound interest, but it works against you. If you carry a balance, the interest charge gets added to your debt. Then the next month, interest is calculated on that new, higher balance.
So the debt can grow much faster than you might expect, even if you're making payments. That interest on interest is digging the hole deeper.
Precisely. It's the same mechanism, just operating on debt instead of savings. It's a common point people sometimes miss. They see compounding only as a positive savings tool.
That's a really crucial distinction. It works both ways. And the concept itself, that kind of accelerating growth, you sometimes see parallels in non-financial areas too, conceptually at least, like population growth models or things like that.
True, the mathematical principle of exponential growth appears in various fields. But focusing back on finance, the key takeaway really is about time. The earlier you start allowing your money to compound, the more time that interest on interest engine has to work its magic.
And crucially, you have to leave the interest earned in the account or investment for that to happen, right? You can't withdraw the earnings each year and expect the same result.
Absolutely. Reinvesting the earnings is fundamental to the compounding process. And, a practical tip. There are loads of compound interest calculators online. They're quite simple tools, but really effective for visualizing how different starting amounts, interest rates, or time periods can impact the final outcome. It makes it much more tangible.
Definitely. Seeing those numbers projected out over 10, 20, 30 years can be a real eye-opener. It shows the sheer potential of compounding.
It really brings home the difference between just saving money and actually making that money work and grow significantly over time.
So perhaps a thought for everyone listening. Understanding how compounding works, both for savings and for debt. How might that change your approach? How can you actively harness it for your goals while maybe taking steps to minimize its negative impact if you have debt?
A very practical point to consider. We hope this chat has clarified the power and the workings of compound interest.
Indeed. And if you found this discussion helpful or interesting, we'd really appreciate it if you could like, share this with others, and perhaps subscribe for more deep dives.